Hello everyone and welcome to Overexposed, a BWRM podcast where we delve into the ins and outs of running a real estate photography and videography business. My name is Dave Temple.
And my name is Jackie Kirk. Today, Guy is back for the final instalment of our Pillars series, where we'll be talking about the BWRM portal, or portal, as Dave likes to call it. Guy, why don't you start and tell us what the portal actually is?
Well, the portal is our software. So it's not quite a website and it's not quite a bit of software that you have on your computer. It's a web-based software that we use. And because all our pillars start with P, we thought we'd name it Portal so it matched.
Okay, so let's go back to 2016 and start at the beginning. Originally, when we set up BWRM, we didn't intend to build our own portal. We were using other software. Why did we change that direction, Guy, and start the huge task of building our own?
Look, there were a few reasons. Originally, we were using some third-party software which was doing the job, but we realised that there were a few key things that were bothering us in terms of workflow and capability, but also in terms of reliability and even simple things like maintenance schedules were causing issues in peak times where that were effectively out of our control as business owners, and that were having detrimental effect on our businesses. So in the end, we decided that we really wanted to get that really critical part of our operation under our own control, and so we embarked on what's turned into a huge journey in building our own portal from the ground up.
There was also another part to it, Guy, where we didn't have access to any of the information behind the scenes. So although we knew that we were all working under the same brand, we didn't have access to any of the information about what anybody else was doing. And for me, that was a key thing that we needed to get access to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a massive gaps in our data that we've now filled, and I think just having the ability to start with, at that point, 8-9 years experience in the industry, and plenty of tens of thousands of shoots under our belts, we really knew what we needed. And it didn't have to, a lot of times companies will do bells and whistles that are just pretty but don't actually have any function. We wanted to build something that was simple, efficient, and actually helped. And at the time when we just started the design, there were things like I was using offline lists, and I'd had my own grid paper printed with, special tick boxes so I could just track how many, jobs I had and the progress of each of those. And all of that's just gone now. We can manage hundreds of jobs per member a month, and know exactly where every job is and manage it effectively and quicker and more efficiently.
Well, the other thing is that a lot of those portals out there are designed for general use. So you might be a wedding photographer or event photographer or whatever, and so it has to do everything for everyone. Whereas we wanted something specifically for real estate photographers and specifically for BWRM real estate photographers.
Yeah, that's right. And like we talked about this, I think last time we spoke, when we were talking about people, when you're seeking advice from people in BWRM, they're all doing exactly the same thing. It's the same with the software. We're all doing the same thing. So we all need the same software solution. So it's a pretty straightforward operation on the face of it. The same sorts of things have to happen repetitively so we can focus on removing manual repetitive tasks.
But also because we have this open line of communication with our members and with our community, what they want is taken into account. So it's not, I don't think, and Dave, this might kill you, but I don't think we'll ever get to a point where we say the portal is finished. We're always going to be improving it. There's always going to be people having good ideas and needing things to be slightly different, particularly as the industry changes. And because we're on the ground and we've got people on the ground, we can keep up with those changes and adjust it as we go.
Exactly right. Yep.
It hasn't been an easy process, has it, to build it? I'm thinking you go back to, like you said, 2016, we're setting up this new business, building a behemoth of a thing. I don't think we realized how big it was when we started and how complex some of the stuff was. Can you guys give me a quick rundown of just the story of building it from then until now?
Yeah, so I want to take it back a step. When I first started BWRM, I thought we would build our own software at some point. And that was actually one of the key reasons I wanted Dave involved, because I don't have any experience in building software. Dave has built software, albeit in the Stone Ages where they use very different code, the digital Stone Age, where they use very different code. So I knew that. I knew Dave wasn't an up-to-date coder, right? But I knew he had experience with systems, and I knew that he has a very similar approach to me in the way that he likes to do things. So one of the key reasons I wanted Dave on board was with his IT experience. And I remember a few years after we embarked on this project, watching the Shark Tank, and there was somebody with a tech-based business who didn't have the tech experience in-house, and the sharks, none of them would invest. And all of them said, we don't invest in tech businesses where you don't have the expertise in-house because they fail. Which I thought was really interesting, because that sort of came back as a bit of reinforcement later down the line for me that it was, if not for just that reason, that bringing Dave on board was a good idea. Because it's been an absolute journey. We have learned so much, we've just learned so much, and without Dave at the helm with his level of experience, we would be broke. Just like we just would be. I mean, we started a process we thought was going to take 12 months. We're 7 years in, and I think along the way we've learned to say things like, when the developers say it'll be April, we say what year? Because you never quite know whether it's April in 3 years or April coming up.
I think it's worth just remembering some sort of statistics from general development. I think it's something horrendous, like 80% of large IT projects fail. And, when you add that to the percentages of new businesses that fail, we've between us started a new business in 2016 and done a big IT project, and not failed in either of those things up to this point. So we are very much in the minority in succeeding in these things, and it has been a journey, but it's been an enjoyable one from my point of view, anyway.
I'm glad we've got that on recording.
Yeah, it's always been enjoyable for Dave. He's loved every single second of it, I'm sure. It's really like a good point to make, though, is, we had 45 businesses using the software. We visited 20,000 odd properties in the last 12 months. The system hasn't dropped the ball. We haven't lost an image. We've managed that in live production. Now, we like any other software, has bugs, but the way we approached, although I can't think of many now and certainly no critical bugs, but the way we've approached the development of our software, again, testament to Dave, and the way that we manage the ongoing development of our software is to really put, the creatives first, and really, take off small chunks, fix them as we need to, upgrade them as we need to outside of peak times, and therefore, if there are problems, which inevitably there are, they're really contained and limited and resolved extremely quickly without an interruption to our production.
It's that creative first mentality that we don't want to let people down. The other thing that's made a big difference, I think, from my perspective, watching you guys do this, I've been involved in the design side, but certainly not in the coding side, has been the fact that you've had a very clear vision of how you need it to scale from the start. I think what you see happen a lot with software is people will build things, but then as they scale, they realize the foundations that they're built upon aren't good and everything has to be started from scratch or it just falls apart. But you guys, particularly you, Dave, you've thought very clearly about how big this needs to grow and how scalable it needs to be, and made sure that it's built on really, really solid foundations. So while members might not see frequent, crazy, obvious updates, the upgrades that are happening are just making sure that it is strong and reliable from the get-go. We're not adding bells and whistles without taking into account that there is that strength and reliability.
Yeah, it's one of the other reasons that website or general developments fail is that you don't, it's the measure twice, cut once thing, right? So you don't do all of the design up front. You don't think about what it's going to look like in 10 years. And then you build something that can't be changed. And then you can't change it. And then it goes out of date. And then you have to start again. And then you lose your business because you don't move people who've been using a 10-year-old system onto a brand new system that doesn't work because you haven't had time to test. It's a horrendous mistake. It happens all the time with big businesses and small. And it was something that I wanted to make sure that we didn't do. So without counting my chickens, we haven't done it yet. So that's good.
We have done it, Dave. We nearly did it twice. We started the development with one company and then had to switch horses, right? And effectively abandoned a year's worth of work. So before we started, and we realised that we were far better off to just finish, can it, and start again with a different company, which we did. Because we didn't want to find ourselves in that process. And then even with that company who is significantly better, streets in front, we had a developer there who I like to think of as almost a magician or an artist, where he's been able to see things and develop something out of nothing. But he did create some holes, which is inevitable. And then because of the team that we've got working with us, we were able to then, if we had an artist at the start, we now have an engineer who's basically worked back through what was a really good foundation, thanks to you, Dave, and really take us from strength to strength. But again, I don't want to piss in Dave's pocket all day, even though he'd very much like this whole podcast to be, maybe we should call it Thank You, Dave. But without Dave there to manage it, I mean, make that transition from artist to engineer wouldn't have been possible. And then, there wouldn't have been anything salvageable either. And we were able to do that effectively seamlessly. I mean, albeit Dave staying awake for 2 straight weeks, when the heat really came on, we didn't drop a single job.
So, Guy, you earlier spoke about how if we hadn't had Dave, we would have gone broke. This has obviously been an extremely expensive thing to build. How has it been funded?
Well, what we did is we went to a stupid venture capitalist and we took all their money and we just threw it at a project. No, we didn't. That's how most people do it. What we did is we funded it out of cash flow, and we always have. So as a business, we have no debt, which means you have to be laser focused on everything that you do. We haven't just been developing a portal for the last 7 years. We've been developing every aspect of the business, and we've never borrowed a cent to do it, which means, I mean, it's the slow way, it's the hard way, but frankly, I think it's the best way. And it's just a lot like choosing really amazing people. You can do things quickly, and you can be a big flash in the pan, but if you want to build something long lasting and sustainable, it's the only way I would do it.
Well, if we'd had piles of money when we started, we still wouldn't have what we know now, and we wouldn't have built something as good. There's just no way. The lessons that we've learned now, the changes in the business, the things we've learned from our members that have influenced the way this portal works, there's just no way that we would have known that stuff.
That's right.
So the slow way has definitely given us something better.
And interestingly, I've spoken with somebody who's been through the process. They started really the same time as we started. They built their own software. They got big. They got a lot of money in. They started bringing in big teams to do dev. And guess what? They just started building a mess and getting more bugs. So then they needed more people to squash bugs. And then they basically ended up scaling it right back anyway. So they went through this, hey, we can just throw heaps of money and turbocharge this. And in reality, it didn't work. In reality, they just had to do it just much more carefully like they always had and got a far better result in the long run.
Okay, so let's go back to our members, because there are lots of, photography portals out there that you can use that you pay a subscription for. Do members pay an additional fee to use our portal?
No. So our system is part of what you get, or our portal access is part of what you get when you license the platform. It's one of the pillars. But, and there is a but, we do charge for data use on our portal. And the reason for that is we've built our architecture on Google. Effectively, there's two main places you can build a website these days, or a portal, or, online platform, whatever you want to call it. You can either build it on Amazon or you can build it on Google. The two major players. We chose Google because it ties in nicely with the Google Work Suite, which we use, but it also has a lower cost for data transfer than AWS per gig or meg or whatever, byte probably what they charge. And a lot of our business is moving data from A to B and storing data. And therefore, a lot of our cost is moving data from A to B and storing data. And if we were to build our portal to host maybe 3,000 BWRM members across the globe, and we didn't pass on the cost of transferring that data, we would build ourselves an ever-increasing cost that would effectively send us broke. So rather than do that, what we do is we pass on the cost of storing and transferring that data to the member. And in reality, what we say is, it's probably around $1 for a photo shoot that you can apply to the system cost, and maybe $3 for a video. So it's a very small cost per unit, but has the power to add up if you're not passing that cost on. So each member basically pays a small amount of data in storage. Everything is mirrored around the globe, however many times across however many continents. So we can't lose any data. It's never deleted, and it's there just for that small cost.
Okay. So then let's have a look at the functionality. Can you, just as an overview, take me through a day of using the portal?
Yeah, so I like to describe the portal as the glue that ties all of the other parts together, right? So if you think about it as that central connection between product, between your process, so your process is how you capture the shoot, right? So you follow the process, you get raw files. You then log into the portal, right? And you add a job onto the portal, you add your product, which is another pillar. You upload and it gets to our retouching teams. Those guys then will do their magic overnight and deliver it back through the system for review. We can then request changes or updates or whatever we need to do, view in full size, download, print, web, add watermarks, do whatever we want to do. It's all automated and set up once. Realistically, 99% of the time we get a video back, we view it, we get images back, we view them, and we get a floor plan back, we view it. And if we've done our job right, you press deliver and it goes to the client. The client then gets an email with a link to download, and they have preset web sizes and preset print sizes, and if you've set up a watermark, it automatically applied. They download their files. Fantastic. And then at my side as well, based on the products that I've added to that job, I press create invoice and an invoice is created. I then connect my accounting software, which is Xero, to the portal probably every 2 or 3 days. And that takes every draft invoice I've created, creates a real invoice in my accounting software, brings that invoice back into our software, and then emails it to my clients. So that allows me to have my accounting suite synced with our suite, but it allows us not to have to build an entire accounting platform, which frankly we're not equipped to do. Xero's probably $1 billion company these days, and the complexity and the power that you need in accounting software is huge, and we don't pretend to be the experts in that. So we've just linked it off to that. And that also means that if any creative ever does decide to leave, they've got all of their financial data with them. They don't need to have access our portal to get that. It's all separate in Xero. So realistically, it's a really quick flow, so I could be doing 20 jobs, which actually I did this morning. I viewed and approved and delivered 20 jobs and invoiced them. I was all done by 9:30 when I hosted an induction for some new members. So no problem, done, all tracked, know exactly where I'm at. I've got filters there to tell me what needs to be invoiced, what needs to be reviewed, what's still in progress, and it's all done. 20 jobs done, delivered, invoiced. Everyone's happy, not a problem.
Yeah, I can remember a time when, delivering 20 jobs would have taken all day. So
just printing out the CD labels would have taken a couple of hours.
Oh my God. They were actually, Dave has touched on a nerve. Were you in the business where you used to print labels on CDs, Jackie? I know I was.
No, I was just after the delivery of the label under the shop door.
I remember that. You would literally have to burn a CD the next morning or that night when you'd finished processing your own images. Then you print the front shot onto the front of the CD, then pop it in a CD thing, and then the next morning drive around to every agency and deliver all the CDs for all the jobs you did. We've come a long way when you think about that. Well, you couldn't. You couldn't do – how could you do 20? You couldn't, right? Back in those days, you just couldn't. And I suppose that's a lot of the difference of where we've come from to where we are today, There's almost no limit to what you can do now.
Yeah. So let's have a closer look at sending off jobs. I think a lot of independent photographers that are listening to this are just going to think there's no one size fits all. My client's special, this client's difficult. Everyone's got different things that they want. So when you're sending off a job, how do you make sure that all these little nuances and differences are taken care of?
Well, what we do on our system is the job is defined by an address, right? So if you think about, we add a job to the portal under my login. For example, I'll go in and it'll be 123 Smith Street, Collingwood, Melbourne, right? We use as a Google lookup, so it hits that address, pins it, great. I've already set up my clients within the portal. So if it's an agency, let's call it BWRM Property or Fletcher's, I don't care, whatever it is. You've set them up, and then under those at that agency, you've set the accounting contact, you've set the marketing contact. You have a section to set any specific preferences that they may have. So if they're shooting in a certain, or you're producing a certain style or product or whatever, it's all linked to that agency. Right. We then set their web size. We then add their watermark, all set up under the agency. Then what we do is we set up our agent and we link them to that agency. And again, you might have the same accounting contact or a different accounting contact. You might have different preferences, whatever, but it's all linked to that agent under that agency, right? And then what I also would have done is have all of my products from my price list added to the system. And they're all to the portal. So then what I do is I say, hey, this is 10 photos, right? So what's it called? That. What does the invoice look like for that, up to and including accounting codes from the software? So I can say, an accounting code 200/1 is for photos. And I'm going to have one line on my invoice that's going to say 10 photos. It's going to be linked to that account code. It's going to be that price. I can say what uploader I want to upload when I add that product. So if I add the 10 photos product to a job, it's going to open an image uploader. Maybe I've got a package and it's got photos and floor plans. So I'm going to tell it to add a second line to the invoice, which is floor plan, and that's got a different account code, a different price, and I also want an image uploader and a floor plan uploader to open when I add that product to the job. And maybe I want that to be called, I want 2 lines on the invoice, but when I deliver it, I want it to be called a standard package. Who knows? But I've got all the flexibility to create that in the system. So you need to understand that background. So when I get home, I add the job, 123 Smith Street, Collingwood, voila, add BWRM Property, then select the agent, then I add my products. So maybe it's just a standard package, let's call it. Then based on the standard package, 2 uploaders open, a floor plan uploader and an image uploader. They're pre-filled with the preferences for that client. I drag and drop my raw files, images into the image uploader, dial in my final quantity, which is 10, press upload, it starts and just disappears up into the top corner of the portal and uploads. I then drag my floor plan across, hit upload. A little briefing doc opens up within this portal that allows me to take even further detail with preferences, because there's a bit more nuance with floor plans that we don't have to get into right now. And that upload starts and continues in the corner. Basically, then I can move on and add my next job while they're uploading. I can navigate anywhere in the portal, do anything. I can walk away, and that'll just keep uploading. Same for video. Maybe the next job's 124 Smith Street, and I've got a video for a different client. Same process applies. Drag and drop the video files, press upload, away it goes.
Do you want to just explain? Video is obviously a very nuanced product. There could be a lot of different types of video, a lot of different things. You might have had a way of filming it on site that you specifically want the edit to come back as. Do you want to just briefly go over the way that video is ordered? Because that's all ordered through the system as well. So how do you get that grand vision across?
Yeah, so very similar to the floor plan system, actually. So, exactly the same process in creating my product and setting my preferences and having that uploader open. Then I drag and drop my video files. I'm shooting in log. So they're really flat profile videos, but basically any video file type almost you can upload. And then when I hit upload, a briefing doc opens, and that allows me to get right into the detail of what I'm looking for that particular job. Or I can just skim through it really quickly and say, you know what, I don't care. Editor, you make the decisions. Or I can be really specific and say, use this music track. I can paste in examples of videos that I'd like the style matched. I can say I want it exactly 15 seconds, or I don't care, or I want it 90 seconds. I can say I want After Effects, I want pins. I can do anything I like through that briefing doc. And then that all goes then to the video editors. Generally, by the time I finish briefing, the upload's finished. Like, it's that quick.
So I guess we've basically done something that automates the entire process while maintaining the flexibility to customize everything you could possibly need to customize, but you don't have to do that. So you can tweak what you want, but it's still a quick, efficient process.
Yeah, that's right. So if I'm doing, say, 5 jobs, 6 jobs a day, I don't spend more than an hour doing admin at the end of the day, right? The most. But that would include videos, floor plans, et cetera, et cetera. And in reality, if we have plenty of members shooting drones, transferring the files straight to their iPad where our system works natively, and they upload directly and do any markups they need to do for the drone images on the iPad and upload directly from there. Same with floor plans. We're drawing floor plans on various software on our iPad, uploading straight to the system. So in reality, that you can also plug your camera or wirelessly transfer to your iPad these days, and you could upload your images from your iPad if you've got enough data on your plan. So realistically, normally drones and floor plans will be up anyway. Then it's a matter of dragging and dropping the images and getting the video done, and it's quick, when you get home.
Okay, cool. So then that's your sending off. Next morning, you wake up, you go to preview jobs. What's the process?
Open the laptop. Open the job. Basically, actually, that's not true. There's filters we've set up. So we have 3 major statuses that we can view within our portal. So we have in progress. So each job would have a symbol on it that would denote that it's in progress, or member review. There's an uploading status, and there's, not invoiced as well, but and delivered. So basically what I would do is I would click the member review filter. It might have a number. So this morning it had 20 in member review. So I clicked that, and I think it was, actually, I'll tell you right now, as of today, 6,858 jobs I've run through my login of the portal. Of the 6,858 jobs, it'll only show me the 20 that are in member review. And then I just start from the top and open it up, click the album button. It takes me straight to the album, look at the images, look at the floor plan, make sure I look at every single one of the products that are going to my clients, make sure the floor plan's all correct, make sure if there's drone pins on the drones that all the spelling's correct, they're in the right spot, everything's great. Takes about 90 seconds. Press the deliver button. it then pops up a modal based on, and it grabs the agency and agent data that I've allowed by linking that agent. Press share, off it goes. Click the invoice button, it pops up pre-filled invoice with all of the data based on the product data that I've set up. Press create invoice, and it's stored as a draft until I connect to Xero. Then I go back to the home screen, member review, next one, done. Then literally to deliver 20 shoots, I'm 45 minutes to an hour tops, and that's in delivered and invoiced.
What happens if you go back to check your jobs and you realise there's a mistake or there's something that you haven't asked for them to remove, like a trampoline in a front yard, something like that? Then what do you do?
Yeah, great example was yesterday, being nearly Christmas, Santa hanging off the balcony rail and hadn't been removed. So a little Santa, so he's in 3 photos. So I open up the gallery, I look, I see Santa hanging off the balcony. I type in the little box next to that image, related to that image, please remove Santa. And then I go to the next one that I can see, please remove Santa, send. That goes back. The job goes into in progress, so it's no longer in member review. I can see that specific service on that job, maybe I had drone imagery, normal imagery, floor plan, and a video, and I can see that there's 3 services still in member review, but only one of them's in progress. So I'm waiting on one service, and I can drill in and find out exactly what that is. And then it goes back to the supplier, and then we have time standard for that to be returned to us. And then when that comes, I'll get another email notification to let me know it's there. The system member review thing will light up. I can press member review, filter that one down, and even if it's way down the list, it'll pop right to the top, view it, Santa's gone, hit deliver. If I've just sent it back and I've gone, what it automatically does is hides those files then from the client. So what I could do is hit deliver while I'm waiting for those and message through the modal. I can put a custom message in and say, hey, client, the 3 front shots are on their way. I'm just getting Santa removed from the balcony. I'll send it when they're done, right? Send. Now, they would get an email with that written in it with the link then to get to the page to download their stuff. Or I can just wait. Or they might go, no, we really want Santa. They might reply, no, we really want Santa. And it's like, oh, okay, no worries. So I can open up the album, unhide the Santa shots, and then hit deliver, and then they can access them. So there's ultimate flexibility.
I think the other thing that I have really enjoyed doing, and this comes more towards the scaling a business as you grow, and I'm sure you do it too, Guy, is that when you kind of get to being very busy and you start to have a virtual assistant, having them do a lot of that stuff on the portal. So Meg is my virtual assistant. I know if I've got 10 jobs today, I go out and shoot 10 jobs. When I get home, those jobs are already set up in the system. I don't have to go and type in the addresses and add the agents. I just go in, open the job that's there, load the images, and I'm done. And then the next morning, if I've got a really early start or if we've got sunrise shoots and that sort of thing, I might check the jobs, the images that come back. But if there are changes, I may not be around to approve the changes when they come back. I could just say to Meg, send those changes off when they're done. So it really takes a huge stress load off to know that I can go off to work. I know those changes are going to get delivered to the clients. Any questions or changes that come back from clients, they might say, can you put 2 Santas on the balcony or change the roof colour or whatever? Meg can actually just send those off through her login to the portal and it's done.
Yeah, it's really super efficient. Now, I have an iPad in my car, so when I'm out and about, I can open up the iPad at any time and review the images that have come back. When I get the email on my phone, pull the iPad out, review, deliver, done. No problem. All I need is phone reception. It is super efficient.
So what happens then if you just have a question for the editors? Let's talk about communicating with the editors. People might be nervous that, they're running their work through the BWRM portal. It's going to the BWRM editors. Do they still have a line of communication with the editors if they want to ask a question or send a special note?
Yeah, so obviously you can send notes when you upload, but sometimes you make mistakes. That's inevitable, actually, in a business with that many moving parts. So you might want to chat, and so we've got a plugin into our system that allows us to direct chat with any of the supply chain. So with our customer service representative for floor plans, images, or video, So you can directly chat with them and let them know, seek, updates on where things are at. If you've been waiting on something for a little bit, or, something's urgent, you can communicate that directly with them through the chat. That chat also connects to Dave if you've got any system issues. So if you find something that's not working, you can directly connect to Dave. If you don't press any buttons and start chatting, it'll come to me. And then you can also search our help centre. It's plugged directly into that. So any of our 60-odd help articles are connected. And you can use AI. It's got AI enabled, so you can ask it a question and it'll search our whole article sets and come up with an answer. And sometimes it'll combine answers from multiple articles in its response. So it's pretty powerful. We also have the ability as directors to post news articles in there as well. We have surveys in there, sign-ups for different events, etc. So it's really comprehensive little connection tool in there, just built in.
So let's talk a little bit about the training and the help articles. Is that everything? So we've got obviously how to use the help centre articles in there and that sort of thing. But have we got, shooting guides and how to shoot a video? And tell us a little bit about all of those articles.
Great question, Jackie. Our help centre is divided into the different pillars of the platform. So you can always sort of drill into the right area straight away. But so every single pillar has a section in the help centre, plus there's a nuts and bolts section as well, which is just even more little practical bits and pieces, links off to drone licensing and any number of things that you might need. But yeah, there's so for the product, every single one of our products is listed, and then how to shoot that product in the process articles are all there. So for every single product, for a video, for a floor plan, for whatever you need, it's accessible. If you want to read anything about the people and culture and why we have what we call the BWRM way, which is our values and those sorts of things, and or any number of people things. The pathway articles are accessible all directly through there as well. They're all standalone in our own help centre, or they're all directly linked via that bot within the portal. So it's hugely comprehensive.
So then from an agent's perspective, because the last thing you and I want to be doing is dealing with tech questions from our agents, what are they seeing when a job is delivered to them?
Yeah, well, we made a really conscious decision to keep it simple. So effectively what an agent can do is they can view every product from their phone, from an iPad, from their computer. They can select all, or they can just basically press download and everything will come down. Or they can select individual components and download those. They can get it in print, web, or watermarked based on their preferences, just with simple tick boxes. So, yeah, it's a really straightforward. All the feedback I get is that it's just really easy. And we've never had any issues. Nobody's ever not known what they're doing, press a button that says download, click print, web, watermark, and you get 3 versions of the same images in different sizes, in different folders, all organised.
That's a lot of functionality. And I guess if you're listening and you're struggling to wrap your head around it, get in touch with us because we can kind of show you or give you a tour or something or talk you through it. But with all of that functionality, Dave, can you tell me a little bit about the scalability and internationalization that you've built into it? How is this going to cope with the growth of our business? Now we're bringing on people in New Zealand and all over the place. Is the portal designed to cope with that?
Yeah, so we've built the portal on what's called an elastic platform. And what that means is the more people that are on there, the more power it uses and the faster it gets. So if you log in on your own on a Sunday morning when no one else is doing anything, you'll find it slightly slower. If you log in when it's busy, it'll actually be quicker. And that means that it can grow as quickly as our business grows, and it can cope with that. Obviously, it's built on the Google platform, so if we overpower Google, we're all in trouble. And then in terms of internationalization, we've kept it quite agnostic because it links to things like Xero. All of your accounting rules are in Xero because that's where accounting happens. So any of your local taxes or any of that interesting stuff happens in your accounting package, not on our product, which means we should be able to take on people from any country in the world with any tax rules or any accounting rules, and it just gets dealt with in the accounting software, not in the in their pool.
So if you've been shooting images, then are your images always stored there? Do you need to keep backing up your images onto hard drives and things like that, or is it all there if you need it?
So all of your final images remain on the system, and all of the RAWs that you uploaded, including all the video RAWs, are available to download. So Guy's done 6,000 odd shoots. He can go back through any of his shoots and download the final images, the final videos, the final floor plans, or any of the raw images that went into making those at any time.
Awesome. Save a bit of money on external hard drives then as well.
Absolutely.
So is there anything else you guys wanted to add to the functionality of the platform?
I think the main thing that I would add is that with that elasticity comes scalability. You know, when we set this up, everything we kept coming back to when we started the design process was it has to work for 3,000 members. It has to work for 3,000. So if whatever we build doesn't work for 3,000 users at the same time, then it doesn't work. And that's been core, really, as we've been building it to how we've approached the design of it, how Dave's, the nuts and bolts stuff that you don't see. The other thing that I mentioned to Dave, or we spoke about a lot, is I want to store all of this information, this system information on what's happening, so we can use that to really extract business insights that we never even knew were possible. So if you think about a member, say me, for example, on the BWRM, right, and you have a look at how many photo shoots I've done, how many of those have floor plans, how many of those have videos, you can feed in an API from a big real estate portal, and you can cross that data with market data, and you can tell me straight away that I've got this amount of market share. If you store that data. Right, that you can say, hey, Guy, did you know 80% of the jobs in your market had twilights, but you've only done 20% of the jobs? Do you need help with shooting twilights? You can do anything. We don't even know what we'll be able to do, really. There's just an unlimited amount of insights that we can provide members by collecting that data. And that's basically we're one sort of engineering project away from starting to get into that, being able to sort of create those business insights for people that are, that we already create a lot of them offline, but, we pull data down and then we create them. But to be able to build effectively a business intelligence dashboard for each member is going to be, the next big leap for us on that portal.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm the most excited about. I mean, we're already presenting our members with their stats at our monthly workshops, but as we always say, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. So imagine being able to log in and have something pop up and say, you did, 100 shoots this month, but only 50% had floor plans. At the prices that you set in, you could be making X amount more profit if you boosted your floor plans by whatever. Like the scope for really, truly helping our business owners with really solid data is beyond exciting.
I'm really excited about this as well, but I just spoke to a member who has quite a regional area, and it's quite a large area. It's about 2 hours across, and we're using the data we've already got because we can plot it on a map. We can see what percentage of our work is coming in what areas, which means she can decide where to look for a contractor so that she can cover the most amount of work across that 2 hour region. So there's a lot that we can do to help people, and the more data we get, the more we can help.
Yeah, and that works the other side too, into the production house. We know when the orders are coming in, we know the volume, we know when corrections come in, we know the volume, we know. So, for example, in our video production house, we added a shift. We were anticipating, based on the data, the forecasting tools that Dave's built on the total volume of products through the business coming. We knew that we were going to hit a certain number. I think we were within 1 or 2 jobs of that, so well done, Dave. So based on the data of when jobs were coming in, we split our workforce 50-50 between a day and an afternoon shift. And we went from a situation where with the same workforce, we had almost every day overtime running to no overtime requirement, right? Which reduces burnout and just increases efficiency. So it's just, having that data, having that portal allows you to be able to do that sort of stuff, right? Which obviously, if you don't have burnout, you're getting better products, and it's a circular thing. It's in everybody's interest.
Lots of exciting things planned for the portal in the future. I guess, first of all, everyone just needs to say thank you, Dave. Well done, Dave. But yeah, thank you so much, Guy, for coming on here. If you are enjoying the podcast, listeners, please like and subscribe because we appreciate the support. But that does wrap up our 5 pillars of BWRM. So thank you for listening to them, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks, Guy.